Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. Welcome to this second episode of Variant Readings. In the first episode, we have described the viewpoint of Ustaz Ghamidi as far as the variant readings are concerned. Remember, he says that if we understand this whole issue by dividing it into three phases, it will become a lot easier and it also answer all the questions. So in the first phase, which of course extended throughout the lifetime of the Prophet, which itself was divided into two sub-phases. The first phase was in which the Quran was revealed in a chronological way, and in the second phase, of course, it was compiled in a new sequence. And in this first revelatory sequence, the concession was given that if people could read the Quran in a way, in their own accent, it was fine. And this, of course, is something that is continuing. And accent is something, if you follow the accent of the Quraysh, it is something very good. Otherwise, it's not mandatory. However, as far as the concession was concerned, in which earlier on you could, various tribes could, or various people who had memorized the Quran, as long as they did not make a very drastic change in the Quran, if they remembered the verses in a similar way or through synonyms or in a similar fashion, then that was also something that was given as a latitude. And this concession was also given because when people would write down the Quran, they could read it according to their own understanding of the written text. In the second sub-phase, in which the Quran was given a new arrangement and a final recital, then this concession was revoked, and then you had to follow only the recital which the Quran had, of course, been given ultimately through Prophet Muhammad, and he learned this through Gabriel. So today we'll be discussing the second phase, and that phase is the one that belongs to the period of the companions. And Ustaz Ghamidi says that when the Prophet consigned the Quran to his companions for transmission, it was actually made qat'i sabut, as he would say, or infallible with regards to the text. And this was made possible by a very large number of the companions transmitting it. And such was this large number that connivance on something that was contrary or connivance on it was ruled out. So past authorities call this mass transmission as Naqlul Kaffa Anil Kaffa, which means generation to generation transmission. And moreover, this period, a very established government of the companions remained in place, and that took the responsibility of its dissemination. And we can say that this second phase is the story of 50 years of the script of the Quran was preserved during these 50 years. The recital of this text also was preserved, and the accent of the Quraysh, of course, as was the case. It was something that was recommended, and of course, something that if people followed was very good. Otherwise, they could have read in their own accent also. So the period of the companions ended with the end of the caliphate of Amir Muawiyah, who passed away in 60 Hijri. And Ustaz, of course, narrates two prominent incidents which all people narrate regarding the preservation of the Quran during this period. And he reinterprets both these incidents, and I will explain to you how he reinterprets them. But first, let us look at these incidents. So the first of these took place in the caliphate of Abu Bakr anhu, and the second one in the caliphate of Usman. We will discuss both of them and then see how Ustaz interprets them. So as far as the preservation of the Quran is concerned in the times of Caliph Abu Bakr, this is recorded in most books of hadith. I'm just going to read out its text from the Sahih of Al-Bukhari. So the text reads as follows. Zayd ibn Sabit al-Ansari narrated that Abu Bakr sent for me at the time of the casualties among the warriors of the Battle of Yamama. So I found Umar was present with Abu Bakr, who said, Umar has come to me and said, the Qurra have suffered heavy casualties during the battle with the people of Yamama. And I'm afraid that there will be some casualties among the Qurra at other places whereby a large part of the Quran may be lost. And I am of the opinion that you should order for its collection. I asked Umar, how can I do something which Allah's messenger has not done? Umar said to me, by God, it is really a good thing. So Umar kept on trying to persuade me to accept his proposal until Allah opened my bosom for it, and I had the same opinion as Umar's. Abu Bakr said to me, you are a wise young man, and we do not suspect you of any bad trait in your character, and you used to write the divine revelation for Allah's messenger. Therefore, look for the Quran and collect it. By God, if he, which of course refers to Abu Bakr, had ordered me to shift one of the mountains from its place, it would not have been harder for me than what he had ordered me concerning the collection of the Quran. I said to both of them, how can you do a thing which the Prophet has not done? Abu Bakr said, by God, it is really a good thing. So he kept on pressing me about it until Allah opened my bosom for that for which he had opened the bosoms of Abu Bakr and Umar. Then I started locating the Quranic material, collecting it from the bark of palm trees, scapula bones, and from the memories of men, until I found with Abu Khuzaima al-Ansari the last part of Surah Tawbah, which I had not found with anyone else, and it was لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ, which means, indeed, there has come to you a messenger from among yourselves. It grieves him that you should be in difficulty. And this is to the end of the surah. So these suhuf remained with Abu Bakr until his death, then with Umar until his death, and then with Hafsa, Umar's daughter. According to Ustaz Ghamidi, this exercise does not imply that the Quran was collected for the first time in written form by Zayd ibn Sabit, as has been generally understood. People had their own collections of the Quran with them, some partial, some complete, and this was something that everyone already possessed. Ustaz Ghamidi says that this narrative must be understood to mean that this exercise was taken at the behest of Caliph Umar, or Umar, of course, at that time, lest someone comes up and says that he has some portion of the Quran that others don't. So in other words, according to Ustaz Ghamidi, it was done to create a consensus on an official collection. So much so, a person like Abu Khuzaima, who had only one portion written down separately, he too should not come up later and say that something was not recorded. So basically, the incident that has taken place or took place in the times of Caliph Abu Bakr is not a collection of the Quran for the first time. It is like creating a consensus on a Musaf if needed. And if there was any person who would have disputed the Quran's text, then this was a standard that he could be presented. Yes, of course, the need never arose. So ultimately, this Musaf was destroyed. But then this is the status of this collection. It was not done to collect the Quran for the first time. Then Ustaz Ghamidi goes on to the next incident regarding the preservation of the Quran. And this took place in the times of Caliph Osman. And this has also been recorded by books of hadith. So I'm just going to read a translation of a typical text. So this is narrated by Anas ibn Malik. And he says, Huzaifa ibn al-Yaman came to Usman, and he had been fighting alongside the people of Syria and Iraq at the time of the conquest of Armenia and Azerbaijan. So their differences in the recitation of the Quran alarmed him. So he said to Usman, O ruler of the Muslims, save this nation before they differ about the book, which is the Quran, as Jews and the Christians did before. So Usman sent a message to Hafsa saying, send us the Suhuf of the Quran that we copy them out in a Masahif and then return them to you. At this, Hafsa sent them to Usman. Usman then ordered Zayd ibn Sabit, Abdullah ibn Zubair, Sayyid ibn al-As, and Abdul Rahman ibn Haris to copy the Suhuf in Masahif. And so they copied them. And Usman told the three Quraysh men, in case you disagree with Zayd ibn Sabit on any point in the Quran, write it in the dialect of the Quraysh, as the Quran has been revealed in their dialect. So they did so, and when they had copied the Suhuf in Masahif, Usman returned the Suhuf to Hafsa. Usman sent to every territory one copy of that they had copied and ordered that all other Suhuf and Masahif be destroyed. And Ibn Shihab Zuhri narrated, this is some narrative that has been recorded adjacent to this original narrative. So Ibn Shihab Zuhri narrated from Kharja bin Zayd, who narrated from Zayd ibn Sabit. And what was that? He said that I did not find a verse from Surah Ahzab when we made copies of the Quran, and I used to hear Allah's Prophet reciting it. So we searched for it and found it with Khuzaima ibn Sabit. And the verse was, Min al-mu'minina rijalun sadaqu ma ahadullah alayh, which means among the believers are men who have been true in their covenant with God. And this is verse 23 of Surah Ahzab, the 33rd surah. We then inserted this verse at its place in its surah in the Mus'haf. Some narratives provide additional information regarding the script of a word that was written in the time. For example, the Tirmidhi says that he recorded just after he quotes the above narrative through his own chain, on Tirmidhi, he says that Ibn Shihab Zuhri said that on that day, they differed between a tabut and a tabuh. So the three Quraysh members of the committee opined that a tabut is the correct script of the word, while Zayd said that it is tabuh. Their difference of opinion was thereby referred to Usman, who said, write tabut, because the Quran has been revealed in the dialect of the Quraysh. Now, according to Ustaz Ghamidi, this exercise was meant to create a uniform script of the Quran and have all the other copies abandoned. So Sayyid ibn al-As, who was very adept in Arabic, was sought help from. So Mujahid reported that Usman ordered Ubay ibn Ka'b to dictate, Zayd ibn Sabit to write, Sayyid ibn al-As and Abdurrahman ibn Haris to correct the text, the written text, of course. So this fixed the script of the Quran. In other words, the script of the Quran was totally fixed by this exercise of Usman, that no other script should be used and this script should be written according to the dialect of the Quraysh. Of course, the accent was something that was still allowed. The leverage was there if people would have wanted to read the Quran in the accent of the Quraysh or the Arab accent, that was something there. But then this is something that was left to their discretion. The recital of the Quran, of course, was done through memorization, and we know that this was something that was reported through the Tabi'un. So the Tabi'un gave their own report regarding what was the status of the Quran in the times of the Sahaba. So in this regard, there are some citations which Ustaz Ghamidi has made, and I will refer to those citations as well. So for example, Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami. So about Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami, Abu Bakr ibn Mujahid, the first person to have selected the 7 canonical readings, he has specified that he taught the very reading on which Usman had striven to gather the Ummah on. So this is the verdict, or this is the opinion of Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami, and he writes, and what he says is that the reading of Abu Bakr, Umar, Usman and Zayd ibn Sabit, and that of all the Muhajirun and the Ansar was same. They would read the Quran according to Al-Qira'atul Amma. This is the same reading which was read out twice by the Prophet to Gabriel in the year of his death. Zayd ibn Sabit was also present in this reading, and it was called Al-Arda al-Akhira. It was this very reading that he taught the Quran to people until his death. The second citation is regarding Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami, and that is, the first person who taught the reading in Kufa on which Usman had gathered the people was Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami. And then Samura ibn Jundub, a companion of the Prophet, while referring to this Al-Qira'atul Amma, says that the reading of the people is according to Al-Arda al-Akhira. And it is reported, so the words are, Samura ibn Jundub said, the Quran was read out to God's messenger many times. So people would say, indeed, this reading of ours is that of Al-Arda al-Akhira. Next comes the testimony of Abda ibn Amr al-Salmani, who died in 72 Hijrah. He was a Kufi Tabi'i, or a successor, and while alluding to this Al-Qira'atul Amma, he reports that people are reciting the same reading in his times that was presented to the Prophet by Gabriel in the year of his death. And how did he report this? The words are, Abida said, the reading on which the Quran was read out to the Prophet in the year of his death is the same according to which people are reciting the Quran today. So we have the testimony of the Tabi'un telling us that they received the same Quran from the Sahaba in their own period that was actually read out in Al-Arda al-Akhira. So now we have the testimony of Muhammad ibn Sirin. He was a Mawla of Anas ibn Malik and a Basran jurist of his times, and he regards the reading of his times to be the same as that of Al-Arda al-Akhira. And his words are, Gabriel would present the Quran before the Prophet each year in the month of Ramadan. However, in the year he died, Gabriel presented the Quran to him twice. Hence, I believe that our reading is that of the Al-Arda al-Akhira. So, as far as the lehja or the accent was concerned, we know that this was something that the Quraysh, the lehja or the accent of the Quraysh was to be followed as a recommendation, but not as a mandatory thing. So all in all, this is the second phase of the companions in which these two incidents took place, and they did not in any way warrant the fact that the Quran was being recorded for the first time, or that it was to be something that was done for the first time at all. In the case of Abu Bakr's collection, it was like creating a consensus on a Musaf, and in the case of Caliph Usman, it was of the nature of creating a final script of the Quran, a script that would be followed by all, and hence the term Musaf al-Usmani, or that tells us that basically it was he who had fixed the script of the Quran, after which any other spurious scripts were destroyed, or the Masahib that were written in other scripts that were not authentic or not the actual Quran were not accepted in any way, and they were totally destroyed. And then we get the testimony of the Tabi'un on the era of the Prophet's companions, that whatever they read was the Quran that was given to them in the times of the Prophet himself, and that is, of course, the Al-Qira'atul Amma that was given to them in the Al-Arda Al-Akhira. So this brings us to an end to the second episode. Inshallah, in our next episode, we will look at the fourth phase, which is the phase of the Tabi'un. And until then, akhiru da'wana, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.